Now, he goes away. Now, the thing you need to understand is this. When you give $50 million to a 20-year-old Sam, you need to understand he has never read a book about how to use money healthily. How you make investments, buy a house, buy a car, help the poor, help the needy. Don't be selfish. No. What Sam has is power. You know what you have that Stan doesn't have? You have youth. That's power. You know what else you have that he doesn't have? You have health. He doesn't. That's power. You know what else you have that he doesn't have? You have dreams and hopes. He doesn't. You know what else you have? You have a future filled with dreams and hopes. He doesn't. You are rich. And what the story is not so much about money, man, that all young people, all people who have power, whatever that power may be, they don't know how to use it. They will eventually be destroyed by the power that they have. Okay? It means that if you have a child and this child is walking around Oakland, is 10 or 20, okay, and he sees drugs or alcohol, or there's a fight he wants to get involved with, if he has power, but there is no education behind the power, he will misuse it. That's the first thing you need to understand about human condition. If you have power, but you don't know how to use it, this power will destroy you. You have time. But because you don't understand the richness of time, you will waste it. And then you know what happens 10 years from now? You will think back and regret all the times that you have wasted. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter how many times I say this to you or Stan says to you or your parents say this to you. You will just never get it. And that's the other thing the Father knows. It doesn't matter how much wisdom I have. This son doesn't have the ears that listen. So this son, you know what he does? He goes. He buys $10 million worth of weed and smokes it in a night. He sleeps with 25 prostitutes every night. He drinks. He smokes. He does all sorts of things. What happens when you lose your power? Ask Stan, ask anyone in this class who's got some age and powers to think. When you have power, but when you misuse that power, you sit back and all you have now is not power, but poverty. Whether you don't have money, or you don't have health, or you don't have youth, or you don't have age, what they all have in common is that you sit back and you say, man, I had all that stuff, I have none of it now. What the hell do I do now? Now, the moment he realizes he's got nothing left in his pocket, in dagal doostan ke mibini, magasanan dor shirini, that you thought these were your friends, but they were only your friends because you were smoking with them. You bought the weed. They like you because they don't have to pay. It's free. They went out to dinner with you because you paid for it. Now, you categorize them wrongly, of course, that these are your friends, but they're not. They're just exploiting you. Okay? You are the cheapest and the fastest way to pleasure and a satisfaction. Now, Sam now sits in poverty. And you know what poverty does? It forces you to think. See, power gets you drunk. And when you're drunk, you don't think. And if you do think, you think in all the wrong ways. And when you feel in all the wrong ways. Poverty, pain, it pushes all these buttons inside you and says, how the hell could you have done that? What is wrong with you? And then you know what happens? The moment you find yourself in poverty, the first thing you do is you say, my parents, they gave birth to me, but they never protected me. How come no one in my world ever spoke to me about money? About being rich and powerful? You begin the blame game. It's his fault. It's her fault. There comes a point where you've beaten up other people and yourself so much that you know what you do. And since you're homeless now, as you're walking, you find the stable. In the stable lives a dog, a cat, a cow. And you say, maybe I should just go and stay with them. You have nothing in your life, nothing. And then something strange happens. You become so desperate that you say, and for the first time, you remember that you have a father. You say, maybe I should just walk back to my father and apologize to him, cry, put my head on his knees and tell him how sorry I am. And so you walk back. You are here. Your father is here. Now, do you know how difficult it is for a parent to give all the riches? Because the thing you need to understand about parents is that you have to put your life on pause, if you've had any life at all, to be a servant to your child. You can no longer have fun with your friends. Okay? You can no longer spend money casually. You got to stay home. If you like your kids, and if you understand the viciousness of society, okay, you got to be like a hawk. Give them some freedom, but not too much. Okay? That you realize at a certain time, as a parent, that the best people your children can ever hang out with are you. That's it. Not your brother, not your sister, not their friends, just you. And make sure in your house, no drugs, no alcohol, no porn, no screaming, no profanities. Now, this is what the father has done. And he has seen his money going to waste. Do you know how difficult it is to save money, man? Do you know how difficult it is to raise a child? گلی که خم بدادم پیچ تابش ز آب دیدگونم دادم آبش به درگاه الهی کی روابی گل از ما دیگری گیره گلابش. I raised my son with the tears of my heart, with the blood of my soul. And in the end, society swallowed them. I give life, but Pac Bell sucks their soul dry. Google, Yahoo, the trash in society. It's a very, very difficult thing for parents to watch their children waste everything that they had given them and still love them, like them. But this is a very, very unique man, you see. As he sees his son walking towards him, he doesn't go backwards and lock the door and says, no entrance. Beware, dog. He actually runs. He doesn't slap the child. He doesn't even allow the son 2 seconds of time for him to say, Dad, I'm really sorry. He just hugs him, kisses him, takes him inside and says, you know what? I'm going to give you a bath. I'm going to wash you myself.
I have a question to that. In what society is that?
This is the Gospel of Matthew.
Okay. But everybody doesn't have a father, though. So you have to.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. You are out.
I get what you're saying. I get where you're coming from. But some of that, what you're saying up there, is not for everybody.
When you were not here, we talked about the formative years. I think you went to the bathroom or something. And we mentioned that if you have a missing component, okay, you're going to travel the rest of your life trying to figure that out.
Not always, because that missing component could be someone else that has stepped in for that, like a grandmother or an auntie that raised you. But it's not a father. See, you're basing everything on a father, and it's not always a father that's there raising a child.
I understand all of that. Human psychology is a very mysterious thing, okay? Am I saying that all people are eventually going to fall victim to that? No.
I'm not saying that. I like that format. What I'm saying is what you're saying, you're like, for me, it seems like you're basing everything on a father.
Okay, let me finish the story and then we'll go to your father question. Now, he takes care of this kid. Okay? He is happy. They're having a barbecue. Okay? Lots of people around. Mike, the 35-year-old, is out on the farm. He's walking home and he says, "The hell is this? Who's here?" And all of a sudden he comes to realize that his brother was lost. He's home now. And the father is really happy. And it surprises him. My father should be pissed. I took my father's money and I bought land. And I bought cars. And I helped the homeless. He was so goddamn selfish. He spent all of that money on himself. And now he's back. And look at the way my father treats him, like royalty. The father, Julian, looks at Mike and says, "Listen, no time to be resentful. No time to be angry. Your brother was lost and now he's found. Be happy." And here's the thing you need to understand. See, Mike has always lived in the Garden of Eden. He never disobeyed his father. Never disobeyed. He loves, but loves blindly. He knows, but he has no understanding behind the knowledge. He's always lived a safe life. This guy, on the other hand, he left the Garden of Eden. Okay? But here's the trick. The son fell. He did all sorts of awful things. But there came a point where he lived in poverty and said, "Yes, I'm not going to escape it. I'm not going to be distracted from it. I'm just going to sit here and reflect on all the awful things I have done." That's the thing that most people can't do. See, when you get married and then get a divorce, you're not going to sit back and say, "What the hell is wrong with me? Was I not thinking well? Was I not feeling well? Did I choose the wrong companion? Is it because I didn't have a father or a mother or a this or that?" Nobody does that. They kind of drink or smoke or have fun, distract themselves in some sort of way. And 10 months, 2 years, 3 years later, they again get themselves in a relationship. No one enjoys living in poverty because poverty inspires reflection and it's painful because you are forced to see yourself very, very clearly. And you won't see good things about you, man. Okay? So, this kid we can call a sinner. But his sin was baptized by poverty and reflection and pain. And what you need to then understand is this. All kids will betray their parents, all of them. Either because they know but they don't understand, or they simply don't know and don't understand. And they got to do things their way until their skull hits a brick wall. The trick is this. This father understands all of this. And you know what he has? An open door policy. I gave birth to you, I'll give you everything. You want my money, I'll give that to you as well. You want to go? Go! Should there ever come a time where you realize you want to come back, my door will always be open. You live in Oakland. There is no way you can change anything about Oakland. Your kids will disappoint you. You have a couple of options. Be angry with them, never talk to them, or say, I understand what it means to be young. All right? That's the best thing you could ever do for your life. There is also this other approach, but I don't think many of us can take it because it's too much of a hard work. You, as a parent, understand how difficult life is, how problematic it is, how tragic it is, how miserable it is. Inflict pain on your kids in a very controlled way. See, you see this cup? if I was to throw it down right now, it'll shatter into 1,000 pieces. I can't put it back together. If on the other hand, I get a tiny hammer and just crack it and then break it, then I can get some glue and put it back together. Okay? It's like when my daughter was trying to play the piano, her instructor told her, you just need to go like this all the time. Why? It's painful, man. Because you need to stretch the length of your fingers from one another. Okay? It's very different than someone grabbing your finger and going like this. See, when you and I walk into life, life just grabs us and pulls us, tears us apart. And this other approach is, if you're a clever parent, if you know how miserable life is, get your kids ready. It's no different than football playing, basketball. You train, so when there is the game, you know how to act. You know how to play. So, as a parent, you will always, now remember, you can always replace this with all sorts of things. You can replace this with your father, your grandfather, even with God. That God creates, sends you out, you will make mistakes. On very, very rare occasions, you have people who will say, you know what, I've messed up. And this is, in religious language, we call this repentance. You repent. And it's not a repentance for one day. You want to baptize your entire life. You say, I have realized I have messed up for 60 years. Now, this is called baptism through fire. Okay? See, most people are just baptized by water. They take a shower and that's it. Fire is very, very different. Fire destroys everything. Now, any questions?
Fire does not destroy everything.
I'm sorry?
Fire does not destroy everything. Cleansing of fire.
You know, I have to talk to myself. I have to come to myself. You have to come to yourself.
Right. Right.
You have to come back to yourself, your upbringing, put things together, and accept the wrong that you've done. I had to go through all of that.
Right.
Come to myself.
Right.
That's your reality.
But here's the thing you need to kind of understand, Stan. Look.
Everybody don't come to themselves.
There is a reason.
But did you have that type of help, though?
Stan, this is you.
I get what you're saying. We all got him. But did you have some of that type of help or what he just said? Yes, yes. Had me
because mom and dad died. It was over.
That part.
So I was tired.
That part.
Sick. I'm sick. Sick and tired.
But you didn't have that upbringing. See, that's what I'm saying. But that's okay though. But yeah, that's
some people. He'll bring it to you. He'll bring it to you. Yeah. He'll bring you to the point where either you're going to keep on. He can't even tell you can stay out here and die. Come to me. Basically what he told me.
Stan, look. See, you had something that most of us in this class don't have or didn't have or will never have. In your life, you only had one son that gave you warmth, gave you nourishment, and that was drugs. You only had one source of power. Everything about you revolved around this. Okay? See, I don't have that. I have my wife, I have my kids, I have school, I have my parents, I got the car wash, I got 1,000 different things going on. So if one thing goes bad, I got another 99 things that can nourish me. Your case, and anybody's case who is addicted to anything, okay, tries to overcome that addiction, they only have one power source. You will never experience real poverty Okay? If you have 1,000 things in your life, if you lose one, so what? If you got 5 cars and one breaks down, you got 4 cars. If you got one car that drives you, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, if that breaks down, man, the entire family is paralyzed. So the sort of poverty that you experience, and the other thing you need to understand about poverty is that it's not like you lose everything and there is God. It doesn't work that way. You lose everything, including God. It's a place called darkness and despair. There is nothing in darkness, man. You can't see anything. That's why we have this thing called prayer. And you pray and it comes organically.
But everybody don't have that.
Everybody, and you don't need to use religious language for this. You can use any language.
No, I'm not saying religious language. I'm just saying, period. Everybody don't have that upbringing, is what I'm telling you.
Look,
so that's what I'm saying. You're saying
whenever you are in darkness and things are really, really bad, something about you comes up and asks for help. It could be silent. It could be just sitting. It could be walking. It doesn't really matter. It could be you talking to yourself. Or if you're religious, you could be talking to God. It matters very little. What I'm trying to say is whenever there is an earthquake, there is something about it that says, I need some air. Okay? Now, if you happen to be a Christian, you can say that air is the Bible or Jesus Christ. If you happen to be a Muslim, that's right? Okay. Now, so remember, Julian, as a good, clever, cunning parent, understand the world really, really well. Know what your kids are going to walk into. Understand that world really, really well. Understand the temptations that are organic, natural. Okay? That eventually your kids will be attracted to those. Understand why they slip. And how long they're going to be in that world. And eventually they're going to come to realize that it was wrong. The best example I can give you is this. When you're 18, you just want sex, let's just say. When you're 25, 26, you say, no, I want sex, but I want meaning. Then you have sex and meaning. Then at the age of 30, you say, I want sex, meaning, and commitment. Then when you're 35, you say, I want sex, meaning, commitment, and marriage. You didn't say that when you were 18, but you say that at the age of 35. Why? Something psychological has happened to you. Whether you've seen your parents, whether you're just getting older and certain things begin to kick in. When you're like 40, you say, I want sex, meaning, commitment, marriage, and children. When you had all those, you say, well, I have all these. I just want some quiet moment to myself now. So you begin to kind of find these assaults on your psyche at different stages of your psychological growth or evolution. And that's how it is. You know? I will talk about the Indians and the Hindu tradition, but that's irrelevant because that's not our life. That's not our culture. So talking about it will create like this fantasy that goes nowhere. Right? Now.
Before class over, I need to touch on something.
Sure.
Certain things you're saying, I agree to. Certain things you're saying, I don't agree to.
Okay.
So, what you just said right there, 18, you just want sex. That didn't work for me. I've been on my own since I was 16.
Okay.
Or 15 and a half.
Okay.
So, therefore, sex wasn't in my mind. It was me trying to get out of what I've been through all my life. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I wanted something better. I wanted to be better. I didn't want it to be what my father and my mother was. Okay. My father, to this day, is still a drug addict. Okay. And I am going to tell you my age. I am 43 years old. Okay. My father is still a drug addict. Okay. He ain't came out of it. Okay. So my father didn't put me through hell and back. So what you're saying up there, I kind of agree if that's your lifestyle. See, that's not my lifestyle of being raised in San Francisco. So therefore, my lifestyle was totally different from what you're saying up there. That's if you got a mother and a father. I didn't have nobody to run to when things happened to me. I had to learn it on my own because I was raising myself. My mother and my father was not in my household. My mother left me at the age of 13. Look. So poverty is It's everything. It's what you make it out to be.
Look. Do you have a cell phone?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to go somewhere to San Francisco and you've never been there before, what do?
You look it up.
Right. You look it up. For the longest time in our life as human beings, even now, your parents are MapQuest. They're Google Maps. Mom, what should I do today? Well, you wash dishes. Or they send you to school. Or they spank you and say do some schoolwork. They are your GPS. You don't have to figure things out. It's too much for a 13-year-old to sit there and figure things out.
Well, I did. Because my mother
what I'm trying to tell you is that as human beings, we always need maps. Always. Forget that for now. We just need maps, man. If I was to tell you, can you go to Meykade today and eat some korma sabzi? You say, what the fuck is that? Meykade is a Persian restaurant. Korma sabzi is a certain dish. Now, I can't give you direction. You have a couple of choices. Drive to San Francisco, ask every person that comes your way, where is Meykade? And because people are arrogant enough to assume that they know, they'll give you directions. And after 5 hours, you realize you're just exhausted, man. You'll just go to In-N-Out and go home and sleep. Or you can take out your phone and type Meykade and just follow the directions. You don't even have to look at it. The phone will speak to you.
We didn't have phones back then.
I understand that, but you're missing the point. All of us in this class need map to survive. If not physical map, psychological map.
Gotcha.
That's an old African proverb.
I'm sorry?
African proverb. Talking about community. That's an African proverb that says, so, in response to this young man's question, you don't have to save the whole of those. Save your little spot. To how wherever your community that you can save, that you can guard, that you can control.
It's true. No, what you're saying is true as long as you have the resources. You know, you can save the 5 people that you know as long as you have the proper resources. You don't have to feed all the homeless people. But if you have some extra cash and a few chickens and a few hot dogs out there just wasting away, make them given to people. You've fed like 5 people, that's good enough. But if you don't have anything, it's difficult. Okay? Now, if you were to go to this, let's talk about her comments a little bit. What time is this class over, by the way? Okay. Let me just, since we only have a short little amount of time, the Eskimos, as well as people who live in Saudi Arabia, they do something really, really amazing. When it's snowstorms for the Eskimos, Inuits, or when it's sandstorms for the Saudis, and they're like walking in the desert or they're walking in a snowstorm, and they can't see too well, you know what they do? They sit. They just sit. And they sit patiently. And that's the other thing you need to understand. It seems as if in the Arab world or the Eskimo world, patience is something that just comes to you with the culture itself. If you were to go to New Guinea, for example, if you ever expressed yourself in an angry way, any setting, whether it's your parents or friends or just society at large, they will slap you. Your emotions don't belong to society. And this is no way to express yourself. Have self-respect. If you're wondering why in America people don't have patience, because it's a cultural phenomenon. It's not that human beings just don't or can't be patient. We are not trained culturally. Okay? So what the Inuits know is that if they start walking when they're blind, when they can't see anything, there's a good chance that they're going to find themselves in a very unfriendly environment. They'll be lost, and they can't get themselves back home, and they'll die. If you want to go somewhere in life, let's say you come to me and say, Amir, I want to finish school. What should I do? You're not going to ask him. The hell does he know? You're going to ask me why. I've gone through the goddamn process. And what I'm going to ask you is this. Do you got money, Julian? No. What do you like? I don't know. Couple of things I can do. I can either sell you philosophy, something I got a PhD in, or I can say, Julian, listen, you're 20, your mom works really, really hard, your father isn't around, you got 2 brothers and sisters. You ain't got time, man, to waste. Go to school, get your degree in computer science or business. If you do computer science, my brother teaches in Sacramento. Sign up for his classes online. He'll be lenient with you. Get done with school quickly. Then I know some people in San Jose who can give you a job once you get your degree. Once you have your physical life in order, if you still remember me, you can come back to Lenny and say, listen, Amir, you know, thank you. I went to school. I made some money. I saved some money. I bought myself a house. I got married. I got a kid. But my problem now is psychological. I'm not happy. I have everything. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love my job. I'm just not happy. What should I do? And the first thing I'll say, Julian, go watch the first season of Sopranos. The guy got everything. Money, power, family. He goes to a therapist. Why? He says, I'm unhappy. I don't know why. I'm depressed. Then I say, okay, Julian, you're now ready to think. Before I forced you to think about your physical life. Now you're ready to think about your psychological life. The point I'm trying to make is you come to me. Why? I am your GPS. If you're going to do drugs and you come to me saying, Amir, I need to do drugs. I don't know anything about drugs, man. I'm not your GPS. Go to Charles. Whatever you want to do in life, you need a map. Now, here's the thing you need to understand. I can create desires inside you. He can create desires inside you, or he can create desires inside you. The desires that this guy creates, Eli, is a desire of a 20-year-old man, like the 20-year-old kid who did all sorts of wrong things. Charles will also give you desires of a 20-year-old. I will give you the desires of a 60-year-old man who's been in the business of thinking for the past 50 years. The question now is, which one are you going to choose? And that depends on what exactly you want, how mature you are, how intuitive, insightful you are, and what you're ready for. Remember, you cannot make the grass grow by pulling it. It doesn't matter what anybody says to you. If your mind is set in something, it's very, very difficult to change it. When we come back on Tuesday or Thursday or Monday or Wednesday, we'll talk about the formative years. Okay, have a nice day.